Another great episode with the Big O. We're actually breaking down free agency and the roster. What is up, Thin fans? Had a great chat with Big O. This episode had a lot to do with who's coming, who's going, scheme fit, backup quarterback. There's a lot of good stuff in this conversation we had. A lot of it predicates on free agency, being that free agency is in 2 weeks. 2 weeks tomorrow. Free agency starts. This week is the start of the combine. So, you're probably going to get a lot of videos from me this week talking about what's going on at the combine numbers, all that stuff. So before we jump into that, though, I do have to shout out a new member in Giorgio Fins Fan Porch. I think that's how you say it. Thank you so much for joining the membership. Again, I have a lot planned for the members and the patrons. I know I keep saying that, but with all the crap going on and all that stuff, I haven't had time to sit down, but you guys are going to get specific content. With the members, you're going to get your thank you video, all that stuff. But with the patrons, you're going to get special videos. So thank you guys for joining, and that is my thank you. Give you more great content as being patrons and members. But real quick, let's jump into today's sponsor, and it's been the sponsor for a couple weeks now, and that is Manscaped.com. If you don't know about Manscaped.com, they are fantastic products that include Lawnmower 4.0 and other great products for the man hygiene. Women can use it as well. But they sent me the Perfect Package 4.0, which comes with, again, the Lawnmower 4.0. It's their newer version of it, hence 4.0. Waterproof, has a light on it. Great for your skin, doesn't nick you. Use it on my face all the time. I shape myself up, which I need to do recently, but you could use it anywhere on your body that hair is. They sent that to me. They also sent me the Crop Preserver, and they sent me the Crop Reviver in this Perfect Package 4.0. If you use the promo code DDW20, you're going to get yourself 20% off. You're going to get yourself some free shipping, and you're also going to get yourself 2 gifts with this. So go over to manscaped.com, use the promo code DDW20, and get yourself the Perfect Package 4.0. And thank you so much for sponsoring this video. Again, a big thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. So let's jump into what me and Big O had to talk about, and then I will see you guys probably tomorrow. I'm wondering if there's any combine news coming out tomorrow, but I'll talk to you guys in the next video. But like usual, stay classy. Fins up. Big O.
Let's do it, baby. Loving life, man. Got back from New York. Had a great time hanging out with you and the dad and all the great people out at Slattery. So it was a lot of fun. And so now we get ready for stage 2 now here in this off season. They got the coaching and everything done. And now let's see what happens in free agency, who they keep, who they let go, who they're going after, which we really don't know until we find out who's signing with what. You know what I mean? Like Lincoln Tomlinson's a guy I want, but what if he resigns? So then we got to move on and talk about somebody else. So that's the challenge right now.
Yeah.
Waiting to see who's available and who's not at that time.
Yeah, because, I'm going to do my free agent video. We're all going to do our free agent breakdowns of, this is who the Dolphins should go for. And then they get tagged. Or, like, we all wanted Thuney 2 years ago, and then all of a sudden he got franchise tagged. And we were like, well, that's out the window.
That's why I kind of wait till we find out all the info. And then we can find out what presents are actually available that we can put under the tree. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to walk into KB Toys and then that Tycho set is not there anymore. And I wanted the damn glow-in-the-dark Tycho set. Not there. What's going on? That kind of stuff. So now shout out to KB Toys, which probably doesn't exist anymore.
No, they were gone. I think when I was freshman in high school, college, I think it was a while ago, about 10 years ago. Speaking of tagging, let's talk about the hot subject right now. Mike Gesicki, or Gesicki. I say Gesicki and people yell at me. Do you see him getting franchise tagged?
It's a great question that I don't have the answer to at all. But I'm going to say you can't solve everything in one off season for the offense, probably. You can use him like a big ass receiver in this offense. And if you're dying to have him be a blocker, I don't know if that's really in him to be a nasty blocker.
Yeah.
So there's a chance, I think, that they could tag him for 1 year where they try it out, where McDaniel's sitting there with the offensive coordinator and the QB coach going, well, we can do this and this and this. And, I was using an example from way back in the time machine, and his name is Brent Jones from the San Francisco 49ers, who was kind of like Gesicki in a way. Wasn't much of a blocker. He was more of a big ass wide receiver for Joe Montana. And Tua needs as many big targets as he can find.
Yeah.
Guys that have range. These kind of people don't grow in trees.
Yeah, no.
So there's a part of me that says no long-term deal, but a tag for 1 year to see, all right, kid, let's see how you fit in our scheme for the next year. If you fit, we keep you. If you don't, we're going to move on, because then we've got to go get somebody else that is your replacement. So I'm going to say there's a 0% chance he gets an extension.
Okay.
And there's a 35% chance that he gets tagged with the franchise.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that makes sense.
Remember, they will get compensatory if he's gone. Now, because of the equation of all of this, it depends on how active they are in free agency. Because if they're super active, then they don't get the compensation back. But if they're not as active, they will get back probably a third rounder for you.
Yeah, especially with the potential of losing Agba as well. He might sign a big fat contract. With Gesicki, though, then it comes down to, because I agree, right? We don't know what he's going to do in this offense, especially, the zone running where these tight ends, they need to block and a ton of time. Gesicki wasn't in line. And that's where that question comes in, right? Say they do franchise tag Gesicki. Is he going to fight to be franchise tagged as a wide receiver? Because 85% of his snaps were either slot or out wide. And the franchise tag for a tight end's 11 million. For a wide receiver, it's 18.5 million.
Right.
Do you think he has some warrant in saying, no, I should be tagged as a wide receiver, being that 85%?
Yeah, he has warrant, but nobody's going to tag him with that. So you might as well take the 11 guaranteed.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's not like other teams are ready to give you 18 million anyway. You're going to be negotiating a contract that's more along the lines of a tight end, not a wide receiver. So the reality is, I think, and he hasn't really fought it. He likes it here. And I think now that there's a specific person gone, I think he's really going to like it here.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe he's willing to become more of a blocker than we ever thought, because that guy isn't here anymore. And so that's a great question. It's the unknown. I don't think any of us have the answer, because you've got to be in Mike McDaniel's head in order to get it.
Yeah. Now, speaking of another person, and I don't think he'll get franchise tag because it's a lot of money, but Emmanuel Ogbah, do you see him staying, or do you think he's going to ask for a lot?
No, I think he stays.
Okay.
Because of course he's going to ask. Yeah, he's going to ask. Will he get paid that? No, but he's going to get a lot of money and he deserves it. And I'll tell you why you need to do this. Words. Jaelan Phillips.
Yep.
Okay. This is why you need to do it, because you are trying to develop a young defensive end. If you lose your established veteran, who has become not just a sack guy, but also a bats guy, because he does bat a lot of balls also. He brings a lot of attention from the offense, which then opens it up for Jaelan Phillips. If Ogbah's gone and you somehow draft somebody else, then all the attention will go to Jaelan Phillips, and it'll make it that much harder for him. So you have something good right now in a 1-2 punch in Ogbah and Phillips. It behooves you to keep that combination going. One, because it makes your team better. And two, it helps the development of Jaelan Phillips, who's still having to learn how to possibly be in coverage at times and read and react. So you know that the pass rush thing comes naturally to him. Allow him to keep that confidence by having somebody opposite of him that will take a little bit of the pressure off of him. So I think it's imperative to keep Emmanuel Ogbah for the flat out development of your pass rushing duo.
Yeah, and the times that Phillips ate the most is when he was lined up right next to, Emmanuel Agba, and they did that stunt. One went to the inside, the other went to the outside. It really did work really well.
Listen, for years, okay, and you're kind of young, but Jason Taylor helped out Lorenzo Bromell.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Taylor helped out Kenny Mixon. Jason Taylor helped out oh damn it, I'm forgetting. He went to the Raiders after and got a lot of money. He's he's an agent now. Trace Armstrong.
Okay.
Trace Armstrong had, he was a good player anyway, but opposite of Jason Taylor, he had kind of like, and the Raiders went and gave him a big ass contract because of that. And he was already over the hill a little bit. And it ended up becoming a bad deal by the Raiders, which is what they normally would do. But, it's just one of those things. And I've seen it in the past. And I'm not telling you that Emmanuel Agba is Jason Taylor. Please don't even.
Yeah.
I'm not making that comparison. I'm just making the comparison that having a really good player helps out other players.
Yes. Yes.
And that's my point, that Emmanuel Agba will make life easier for Jaelan Phillips.
Yeah, case in point, Edouard Lagunier, he was on the opposite side of Jason Taylor. 8. I think he doubled double-digit sacks, went to Chicago.
Got a lot of money. Got a lot of money. Yeah.
Now, we're talking about defensive line. Let's flip it over, right? We're going to have a lot of money. I think we're sitting right now around 64 million. That's before we release players, which we will get to. Before the potential cap raise, we're gonna have a lot of money. Greer's not one, and he even talked about it with the interview with Mike McDaniel, that Mike McDaniel might be like, "Oh, I want this guy, this guy, this guy," and Greer's gonna be like, hold on a second.
Yeah, he's a very shrewd negotiator. Actually, he's actually been. Think about it. They're going on their 4th year, and they have all flexibility. So that tells you how, and they had to take cap hits that they didn't want to.
Yeah.
From Kyle Van Noy and Flowers and things like that. That was because of the coach, not because of the front office. You know what I mean? So even with that they've had to, take hits that they didn't want to, having said all that, they've maintained flexibility because they've been very creative with the way they sign their deals. So I like that about Chris Grier. I think that's very smart on his part.
Yeah, he structures them really well, that like, okay, we'll sign you. You're gonna, the first year we'll give you all the money you deserve. Second year, and then if you after that, we can let you go. And that's what he did, because the dead cap is 1.5 million.
Right.
Back when we had Tannenbaum as our whatever you want to call him, Ndamukong Suh, we paid him years after releasing him.
It was 13 the year he left, and then 9 the following year after that. Yeah, it was like it was a lot of money. It was over $20 million in 2 years that they had to pay him in dead cap money, and that's space that you don't have. The Saints are going to go through that now because of all the money that they've put back and all that. They went through it last year, and I think they still have more dead cap money this year because they're just littered with contracts, and that's Sean Payton. Also, that's probably why he's like, this ain't getting any better.
I'm gonna take a year.
Finances. I'm gonna take some time off. I'll let you guys figure out the cap and clean it up, and then I'll be back. Maybe we could get a quarterback and cap space, that kind of stuff. So
they converted a lot of it to signing bonuses, and they're still 50. They were 70 something million in debt, and they're still like 50 something million in debt. It's the Packers too. I think the Packers are around 40 million, 30 million in debt,
and they're willing to go even farther now to sign what's it called, Rodgers, to $50 million deal. And then that would set them back because, they're going to ask Davante Adams also to, he's going to want his money. So that's going to create another problem for the Packers. And eventually you got to pay the piper.
Yeah.
And there'll be less space you have down the line, and you can keep mortgaging the future, but it gets worse and worse for you. It's not imaginary. The cap is legitimate, and it will hurt you eventually. It will catch up like it has with the Dolphins. That's why I know that we haven't seen the team reach the pinnacle that we all want them to reach.
Yeah.
But I think right now the front office is at least on the salary side, they've been doing a pretty smart job overall.
Yeah, 100%. So looking at the offensive side, we're not going to be spending much, but I would love to see them 2 big guys. And I know this one guy I'm going to name, you've been banging the table for, and that's Ryan Jensen. We
Badly.
need that center. We need that guy who
That would
is
be
the
my first target. That
yeah.
would be my first guy I want is Ryan Jensen. I know you're going to overpay, but Tua
Do it.
needs an anchor in the middle of
Mhm.
that line that he can count on, and a nasty guy. And I just think he fits exactly what they do. I think he would be fantastic. That would be excellent for them to get a guy like that. And then Dieter can be your swing backup
Mhm.
center guard like. And
Mhm.
I think that's also very needed. And he showed you he can play the position, maybe not at the Ryan Jensen level,
Yeah.
but that's why you go out and pay for Ryan Jensen. But Dieter may end up being a guy. Maybe he becomes a better guard now, and he still has the center experience for backup purposes.
We have enough offensive line coaches. I think we can figure this out somehow.
I'm excited about that. I'm really excited about that because if they figure out the line, just so many other things are going to fall into place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it will change the dynamics of everything going on. And even a lot of the doubters, I think, are then going to open their eyes and say, no, things are pretty good now. And that's because of the offensive line. So I'm hoping that the people they brought make it, a lot better for Tua.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
some guy was going back and forth with me on the Herbert thing, and I'm like, you can't compare the teams. He's like, well, no, the defense was really bad compared to Miami's. And I went and looked it up, and it's 17-23 in the rankings. Miami 17, they were 23. You know what the offensive rankings were? The Chargers number 4 in the NFL. Miami's 25. So that's where the real difference was in the whole thing. And that's where I'm excited that they've got one of their line guys here.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought Matt Applebaum. Plus, you've got Mike McDaniel. I think those 3 guys will hopefully put together the line that they need. And if they do that, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, the last time they had a great line, they won Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying? They haven't had a great line since those days.
Mm-hmm.
Richmond Webb and Keith Sims did not make a great line.
Mm-hmm. The great left side.
End them on the left side. That's it. They weren't great anywhere else. I like Tim Ruddy. He was not a great player. He was a solid player. And the right side of the line was not anything out of this world. So the next time you have a great line, well, then maybe we can have some great success.
Yeah, and that's my biggest talking point. I've been talking about it for the past 2-3 years. Is you get a top 5 O line and D line, you win the trenches, you're gonna win.
You're gonna win. You're gonna win. Tua's gonna be a badass if you have that.
Just look at the Super Bowl. You had one line that was garbage with the Bengals, and you had that defensive line of the Rams. That one, yes, Stafford got them down. He scored, but it was that defense and defensive front of the Rams that won them that Super Bowl.
Stafford wasn't like amazing or anything in that game. He just did enough because that's all you had to do with those teams. With that team, that's all you have to do. We can't get into the, Burrow. I don't believe you'll see him again in the Super Bowl ever again if he's with that team. I don't believe it. I think this is going to be the same thing as Ken Anderson and Boomer Esiason. I have lived this my entire life, watching this franchise and that ownership group. And hell, the guy blew out his knee and they still didn't fix the line. He almost blew out his knee again in the Super Bowl, dude. I mean, how stupid can you be? So that's all you need to know. And now that they got to the Super Bowl, guys on the Bengals are going to want to get paid. You don't have to win it. Just get there and people are going to want to get paid.
Yeah.
Mike Brown ain't known for pain.
No. So thinking of that, right? I think I got about 7 guys that I would cut off this team. Is there any glaring person besides Jesse Davis? Is there any glaring person on this team?
Jesse now doesn't fit what they're about to do.
Yeah, no.
I didn't have a problem with Jesse as a 6th man. Let's be honest now, okay? I had a problem with Jesse from the get-go starting.
Yes.
I never felt he was a starting caliber offensive lineman. I thought he was a very good fill-in guy.
Yep.
Get you through a game, get you through a week, but not the guy you start week in and week out because he just doesn't have that kind of athleticism. You know what I'm saying? So that's why. Guy that I need to cut right away. Well, Who would I cut right away? Man. I mean, Jesse just doesn't fit what you're about to do, so that's why you're gonna have to cut him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's only the reason why. If you were keeping a regular, if you were back to the same system, I would have brought him back as a backup,
Yeah.
and that I wouldn't have had a problem with that. And I'm trying to think of who I really don't. Oh God, Preston Williams. Please get rid of his ass. Albert Wilson, you don't need on this team anymore. There's a couple of those receivers that I would get rid of. Um, I don't know. Tell me some. Who am I forgetting here? That you.
What is your thoughts now with Brandon Jones and Holland kicking butt right now? Would you bring Eric Rowe back as depth, or would you move on from him and save the cap?
Yeah, I would save the cap because I think at times that he's limited.
Yeah.
And he can only do one thing really that he excels at. He doesn't really excel at anything else. And it's not like he excels at covering the elite tight ends because almost nobody does.
Yeah.
Well, I would probably let him go because if it requires the same amount of money, then yeah, no, I would probably move on from him, especially with the development of Holland. Yes.
Yeah. And like I said, the two young guys are kicking butt. And I know because I think getting rid of him is like saving about like 4.5 million. And some people were like, well, you need depth. What if this happened? What does that happen? Well, you can go out and get, safeties for cheaper than that. Some Marcus May from the Jets as a free agent, stuff like that. Talking about the wide receiver room, though, I'm 100% with you on that. There's not many I'm bringing back if I'm the Dolphins, and even Devontae.
Yeah, no, I'm not bringing back Parker either, unless he wants to sign like a minimum deal, like a veteran minimum deal with some incentives. That's fine. He can be the fifth receiver, and if he's healthy, he can play. But I would get rid of everybody except Mac Hollins, Jalen Waddle, and I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm trying to think. And I would bring back Kirk Merritt. Okay. But any of the other guys, I mean, Isaiah Ford's a nice possession guy, but it's not like somebody I really need overall. And most of the other guys you don't really need on this team. So you've got to add an influx of receivers to this team and a returner, by the way, because you did get rid of a Pro Bowl returner.
Yeah. he had those brick hands though too.
Just saying. I'm not just saying. Saying. You got rid of the Pro Bowl returner, so they need a returner.
Yeah, because I think Allen Hurns is on the books for like $2 million, give or take. I didn't get rid of him. Parker's the interesting one to me. He $8 million this year. It's not a lot.
I'm not paying him that. I'm not paying him that. I'm paying him minimum, whatever it is, $1 million, whatever it is, $1.5 million. I'm paying him that and say, here's some incentives. If you stay healthy and you make the catches, you can make incentives. If you don't stay healthy, we cannot take the risk anymore. That's what I would do with Devontae Parker. I'm sorry. It's just, he's unreliable. What's the problem with him?
And that's my biggest thing with Parker is he doesn't take like it's not even his health, but it's like the getting into shape, staying into shape. Like I remember a few years ago, Chris Chambers was talking about him. He all defensive about it, but you had one full year in 2019 and look how great you did. Like stay healthy. And then all of a sudden you get the big bucks. So, but there's wide receivers out there, Allen Robinson, a lot of people are poo-pooing on him because he was talking bad about the Bears.
Now, again, the injuries, all that at this point. Yeah. I would have signed him a couple of years ago. At this point, depends on the kind of money he wants, man. I don't know. That one would be a little dangerous, but yeah.
There's DJ Chark Jr.
I love him. Love him.
He's a speedy guy too.
Great route runner.
Yeah. Good. And you could potentially, at first I was like, because his name popped up last year. And I was like, you could potentially throw a 1-year contract at Juju and bring him in for a year.
Yeah, but I like Chark because I can put him in the slot and move Jalen to the outside.
Yep.
So that kind of fills the need right there. That's one that would intrigue me a lot. And he's a free agent from the Jags, right?
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
So yeah. That would be one guy that I I definitely would target a DJ Chark. That would be good. What I'm not doing is trading for. I'm not trading for
Yeah, no,
Ridley.
no.
As much as I like Ridley, I'm not. I'm not going to give up picks or pick and money because you have to then sign him to a long-term deal.
Mhm.
To me, that's not productive.
Mhm.
You go get the guy, you just sign him straight up in free agency, and you don't give up the compensation. For me, that's the better way to go. I'd rather use the picks for other players that you need on the team.
Now, looking at the running back position, the only running back we have under contract is Myles Gaskin right now. I thought bring back Patrick Laird as a potential fullback. I'd like him in that position. Is there any big sexy running back? Do you expect the Dolphins?
I haven't looked at the free agent list, so I don't know.
Mm.
I would bring back Duke.
Yes.
Even though I'm not a believer that Duke can be a successful running back.
Mm.
He's been a pass catcher, but he proved me wrong in 2 out of 3 weeks.
Mm.
And one of the other week was the Tennessee game, and he did have 7 for 49, and it was the coach that just did not feel like using him more, which I would have been intrigued to see what happens if that changes the dynamics of that game, that all of a sudden, if Tua has a running game he can play off of, that would have helped out a little bit in that situation, and it didn't. Instead, in a rain game, you chose to pass more, which meanwhile, they've got Foreman running all over the Dolphins. It's just the things that go on with this team were just baffling at times. But yeah, I bring Duke back. That would be one. I don't know if they think he fits the system, perfectly, and he showed me enough.
Yeah.
And he's not going to cost you anything.
No.
So if you're going to sign somebody or draft somebody, I would bring Duke in just for the depth and / competition.
Now, do you spend big on running backs, or would you prefer to bring Duke, potentially him and Lindsey, because you might be able to bring them both back for like $5 million for the both of them, then draft the guy? Are you more in that camp?
If I can get a really nice back, I'm drafting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm drafting. And I'm still bringing back those guys. And Lindsey fits this system perfectly.
Yes.
So, but if I have a chance, and I think that if they do have a chance in that second or third round, I don't think they'll do it in the first, but in the second or third rounds, if there's a guy that's sexy enough for them, I think they're going to take it, because this is a carousel guy. I'm talking about McDaniel. He uses many backs. That's how they are. They don't really rely on one overall. The dad was doing that.
Yeah.
This group has not done that. They use several guys. So I would not be surprised if they use a Duke and Lindsey and somebody they drafted. So that way they lose those veteran guys, the young guys there for that first contract. Because you got to remember now, things have changed in the landscape of the running back.
Yes, 100%.
Teams don't look at running backs like you're here forever. They're literally looking at them and going, well, we're giving them only one contract. So it makes even less sense nowadays to draft somebody in the first round when you're only giving them one contract. And unless they are a superstar, you're not going to give them that second contract. Look what the Giants are doing now. Look at Saquon Barkley. He's about to be released. And this is a guy that was considered as dynamic as it gets, great character guy, and it never worked out for the Giants. And he's about to get released. This is why it's very difficult to make heavy investments on running backs, because they're not considered long-term viabilities.
Yeah, back in the day, Danian Tomlinson, all those guys, they get double-digit millions a year.
Bell cow.
Not anymore. You get about 5 million. If you make like 6-7 million a year as a running back, you're a top-notch running back in the NFL. Now we have the 29.
That was even Zeke. That was more of a in a lot more, because they've kind of offset it, because that's where we're going. It's what we are in the league. Nobody depends on one guy. And they also know in the front office that if we depend on one guy, we then put ourselves at risk. And 2, then we got to pay him.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
Now we have the 29th overall pick. It's a late pick, but I'm hearing that this draft is really deep. So it's not bad having the 29th overall pick. Do you now the draft is still about a month away. month and a half away. So I'm not going to go too in depth with this question. Would you keep the pick and take a player, or would you now I'm thinking of a potential to trade it for a top tackle. Like if somebody wants that, just give us your first for so and so, because they already
right.
The rumors out there. I'll cut the fat and get right to it. The rumors out there is Texans want to move on from Laremy Tunsil. Would you send the 29th to the Houston Texans for Laremy Tunsil?
Yes. In a heartbeat, I would send the 29th pick. I mean, a bong allowed him to fall at 13, and it was a bargain. So yeah, I'm taking a 29. And he's still really young. You can get easily 6, 7, 8 years from him at starting at left tackle. You would result. You sign Ryan Jensen and trade for Laremy Tunsil, and you're in a great spot. If you can sign a free agent tackle, then that's even better. But trading for Tunsil and all you're giving up is a late first round pick would be a gift. Now, remember the Texans. For those of you that might be wondering, well, wait a minute, don't you ask for more? You normally would, but the problem is he's got a big ass contract, a big salary. So you have to trade with a team that has the pick and the cap space. So that becomes a piece of leverage for the team with the cap space, because they know there aren't a lot of teams out there that are going to be competing against you. So, hey, yeah, we'll give you the first, and that's it. So, yeah, I would do it in a heartbeat. I would trade for that guy. Yeah, hell yeah, man. I want Tua to get a line. If I'm the guy that believes that if Tua gets the line, our team's a playoff team.
Yeah,
I really do. I really feel that. And if the team's good enough, you can win the Super Bowl.
They pull that off, we have to make a statue of Chris Grier.
Yeah, definitely.
Getting all the first round picks from the Texans and then just getting the player back for one first round pick. It's like,
I know. And let me tell you something. You'll get excited more about the front office, for those of you that are questioning it. If this O-line group comes in and actually makes 2 or 3 of these guys linemen, then people sit back and say, oh, wait a minute, dude, the drafts have been really good overall. Okay, this, that. And even with Noah, we don't even know what he is yet, bro, because he's barely played. And Hunter hasn't played. So those guys are being unfairly judged. So there's a lot of things that can change, perceptions that can change in the way we view things here with this team.
Last thing we're going to talk about, quarterback. Now, obviously, Tua is the starter. The Dolphins have come out, made it known, made it, it's like a public talking point. We're back in Tua. Backup. Tua hasn't stayed healthy for the past 2 years. Obviously, offensive line issues, other things. Do you go out and draft his backup, or do you sign a free agent backup?
No, you don't draft.
Okay.
No, you don't draft. Now, you can draft a guy in the 6th, 7th round that's a project
compete,
or something like that. That's got like a lot of talent, and you want to just stash him and try to develop him for the future and see if there's something there. And if maybe you develop him and Tua's kicking ass, you can then trade him instead. You got to go sign a veteran quarterback.
Yeah.
You need a veteran quarterback that's behind him. People have mentioned on my show, which I like, is Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh, okay.
Somebody like that. If he would be available, that would be the kind of guy that I would sign, because, his mind is just amazing. And Teddy is a guy that's liked by everybody. And while I don't believe he's a legit starter in the NFL, I think he's a very, very poor starter in the NFL. But I think he's an exceptional backup.
Yeah, he'll win you those games.
Yeah, he can win some of those games or keep you alive. But more importantly, he's going to be an incredible set of eyes for your starting quarterback.
What about
somebody like that? I would like. Who else?
What about get the Hawaiian tag team going? Bring in Marcus Mariota.
I'm not a Mariota fan.
No.
Never accurate, never healthy. Also suffers all kinds of injuries. And it's not because he got blindsided and slammed to the ground or something like that. I'm talking about just freakish, like BS injuries happen to him all the time. And he's not an accurate guy. So I've never been the Mariota guy, not from the second he came out of Oregon. Never been a believer. A lot of scouts did not like his accuracy, and they were right. It's inconsistent at times. He will flash, but not enough. I need a Teddy Bridgewater. That's who I would like out of these two. Anybody else?
Is the only other one, because there's the top 3 right now as quarterbacks that are out there non-trade, is Jameis Winston. And I don't know if you bring in Jameis Winston.
No, no, I can't
He-
bring because I need a guy for the mind
Mhm.
and pardon my French,
Be nice.
the crap he says sometimes
Oh, you don't want
are
the
things that,
W?
yeah, blah, blah, blah. He's just a little bit too weird for me.
Yeah.
And you know what? Tua's had to deal with enough awkwardness in the first couple of years already. Yeah, no, bring me somebody that's like, Teddy Bridgewater looks like a normal human being to me.
Mm.
Jameis Winston, there's some screw that's loose there somewhere. It's rattling around when he shakes his head. You hear it hit the sides and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I would be a little concerned.
Last thing I want to ask you, and it's kind of like a fundamental type thing, or like a team fundamental type thing, because with Brian Flores, it seems like when he went to free agency, it was more, you have to be under 28. You're under 28, we're going to sign you, you're going to build with the team, yada yada, blah blah blah. Do you see that changing now with Mike
No.
McDaniel? So you still think they'll go young?
I still think if they have a chance to get young free agents, they will get young free agents, and I don't have a problem with that, because you'd like to sign somebody in free agency that can live up to their contract.
Gotcha.
When you're signing them at 30, 31, they rarely are going to live up to your 3 or 4 year deal.
Mm-hmm.
A year or two in, you're going to already be complaining. So if you can pick up the 27, 28-year-old, 26-year-old, and give them that second contract, you're in a pretty fortunate, like what we did with Agba.
Mm-hmm.
Agba was, man, really lucky
Mm-hmm.
that they got a guy that did not live up to his draft status,
Mm-hmm.
his first contract, and you got him fresh off of his first contract.
Yep.
So now he got to prove himself, and he's going to do his second contract with you. And he can live through that second contract now, because it's only been 5-6 years that he's been in the league now.
Yeah.
The original contract and the 2 with you. So you give him a 4 or 5 year deal, he's going to be able to play out that contract. So that's the bonus of trying to find that young free agent. I think that's a philosophy from the front office, not from Flo, actually, when you think about it.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I was always wondering, if that's going to stick around, if that was a Flow thing, or if that was more Greer kind of being like, let's build.
No, that doesn't mean they
future.
won't sign an older guy that, hey, we need one piece here, like one of the tackles or something. Yeah. Like they're just, okay, this guy, like what San Fran did, they had an old tackle too, right? So if you could get a guy like that, and I think he's a free agent actually, yeah, you need a piece. You can't find it anywhere. This is a veteran. He knows how to stay healthy. He'll put us over the top. I can see that as a Band-Aid, but not a long-term type of thing. I think that's a philosophy. I got to tell you, Dougie, that's a philosophy I think everyone should have.
Yeah. If
you have the opportunity to get a young free agent, that's a blessing, dude. And if you can eye somebody that, it takes it doesn't take that much guts, because the risk wasn't that big by Miami. Because Agba was a disappointment as a draft pick. But for you as Miami, you still see the potential there, and you say, okay, well, we'll give him a $7 million deal, which really didn't break the bank. But it has the potential of becoming a monster bargain, which is exactly what it turned out to be. So that's the gamble you've got to take, that you're kind of taking an underperforming player, and you're hoping that he maximizes his talents with you. And that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah, I can see, because a lot of these offensive linemen we have that struggled, whether it was Solomon Kinley, Austin Jackson, Eichenberg, we don't know where the struggle was. We had the offensive line coach was the first time ever doing it. So I love your thought processes. Bring in that guy, bring in that, left tackle, or even the center, or that is maybe in their 30s, and have them help you groom these younger guys. So then when they're at the point where it's like, oh, my knees aren't the same, yada, yada. All right, well, we have your backup. Austin Jackson's actually coming into his all. Because when we drafted Austin Jackson, I liked the pick, but I didn't like how raw he was, because he didn't play for so long. So, I'm not ready to give up on Austin Jackson. Maybe I'm stupid, but I want to see.
Maybe he fits better here, dude.
No, exactly. Because he has the speed to pull.
They had no coaching.
Yes, exactly.
At this point. So you've got to rebuild the confidence, get them going again. And if you watch that film, he will do things to help you as a coach,
Mm-hmm.
help you excel and succeed, which will build your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that I kept harping on all damn year when people were so easy. Oh, it's personnel. And I'm saying, no, it's not. It's coaching. Coaching has been the problem. So that's what's going to save it. And one more thing to add to your point on the older player. Let's say Mike McDaniel finds an older player that has played in his scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Very important to bring that player here. Maybe it's not so much that he's a great player, but it's good enough to get you by. But more importantly, he's a teacher.
Yep.
To help the young guys. Hey, I played in this system for this many years. This is what you need to do. This is what you look for. This is what you have to do when you make this. When you pull here, this is what I want you looking for.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm looking. Whatever it is that he knows, he needs to pass it on. So that could also be the other reason you could be getting a guy that is bringing his experience to the table on what you're actually currently trying to teach. So that might be a real positive for McDaniel, Applebaum, or Frank.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we got a great conversation like usual. What you got planned for this week? You got anything going on?
No, we got the same old. We got more Dolphin insiders than anybody else on the planet exclusively on our program. So we'll be talking plenty of Dolphins. A lot of our guys are at the combine.
Yes.
All week long.
Yep.
So we'll have reports all the way through Saturday. By the way, we're going to be doing a special show on Saturday from 11 to 1. We'll be out at Canesburg because Tyler Van Dyke is doing a signing. And, you never know. We might pull him in, sit down and talk a little bit with us on the show. So there you go. And remember, we're going to Vegas for the draft. So hopefully we'll get you on the show there since we can't get you to Vegas. How about your dad? Your dad sounds like he would go to Vegas with me and have some fun. From what I meant,
he get in trouble.
Dad, I think he would enjoy Vegas with me.
Big, wait till we come down to Miami. You and my dad, I feel like are gonna get in trouble together.
Let's do it. I haven't gotten in trouble in a while. I'm due.
Well, side note, when I was driving him home the couple Saturdays ago, or Friday, I think he said he bought one beer and everyone kept buying him beers.
Nice.
He was very happy. Let's just say that. He was very happy.
Everybody wanted to buy me beers, and I only drank one because I'm not really much of a drinker. I'm just not that guy that drinks a lot. A little vodka and cranberry. Maybe I can have a couple of those, and maybe 1 or 2 beers. But I'm just not really a guy that drinks a ton, So I appreciate everybody. I didn't want to be rude or anything. Yeah. It's just, plus I'm on the air and all that. Yeah. They already thought I was wasted.
Right. They thought we both were buzzed. I don't drink.
Yeah. You didn't drink at all. I had one. What was it? The girl. What's her name? What's that beer? The girl, the St. Pauli girl.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had one beer, dude. That's it, bro. I mean, give me a break. If I get wasted out of one beer,
I might. It's been a long time since I drank.
Yeah, but damn, still one beer. Us big guys should not be hurting after one beer. So
all right, bud.
You go. So Vegas,
yes,
all 3 days. Come on out there. We're going to be broadcasting every minute of the draft out there in Vegas. So join us.
It's gonna be a fun one. All right. I will see you next week. We'll talk more. Next week we'll talk about the combine. I think we'll start getting into combine talk, draft talk. It's gonna be fun.
We'll be right on the brink of free agency too next week.
We're gonna get a lot more news.
So we'll have better news of who got tagged, who's staying, who's gone, who's available in trades. All those kind of things will start kind of rearing its ugly head because that's what's going on right now.
Yep.
At the combine. It's not about the guys running around in underwears. It's all it's all the what's that called? The when you're talking to somebody you're not supposed to, the tampering.
The tampering.
It's all the tampering going on this week.
They're all on that yacht, man.
Yeah,
they're all on the yacht talking.
Yeah, Chris is trying to find out, okay, so what does Agba want? So that's what he's doing this week. And then he's finding out about any other free agent out there, that might be interested. So that's what's going on.
It's going to be great conversation. But I will talk to you next week, bud.
Yes. You all be good out there. Much love, Dolphin Nation.